I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just want a quick motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
I'll give that motion.
Thanks, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now on to Mr. Harris for our business tonight.
Okay, well, the purpose of this evening is really to talk about our tentative agreement with the Teachers Association. And the first page that you have below the agenda, and I'm just going to kind of walk through things, and I'll take whatever questions you have, but I will tell you I do not have a long meeting planned. Kind of a summary of the whole bargaining process. On August the 18th, as required by public law, we had a public hearing that was held in this room and was open to any public comment. We had that meeting. Nobody attended other than the superintendent, the head of the bargaining union, and I was here. I think there's 3 or 4 of us here, but nobody from the public attended that meeting. Thus then we started after September the 15th because you cannot do formal bargaining until after that date. We started bargaining with the union then. We had 4 bargaining sessions. I would tell you that at least my interpretation, I thought all of the sessions were pretty cordial. We made a little progress each time, and basically we probably met half hour to an hour each time, and they brought something, we needed to do more work, and then we met the next week and we gave them some stuff that they needed to do more work, and pretty well progressed right along. On October the 10th, we reached a tentative agreement with both parties. The teachers then took the tentative agreement to the teachers union, and I don't know the exact vote. I know it was overwhelming by the teachers to approve the tentative agreement. Then again, following state law, after we had that, we were required to have this meeting at least 72 hours prior to when we will ratify it. So obviously we're going to be back a week from now, so that's at least 72 hours. So tonight I'll present on the tentative agreement, and then next week we will have the formal recommendation and vote on the teacher contract. So that's kind of the process. Are there any questions or comments?
The timeline for this is November 15th is when the state requires all school corporations to either have it settled or they will be in mediation. And there are some districts that go that route every year, but we had a good relationship with our teachers.
Then the next document you have is really a summary of the tentative agreement, and I'll just cover what we have went through in there. And it correlates with you have the red line version of the contract behind that, a much thicker one. So for your reading pleasure, if you need to put yourself to sleep tonight, you can take the full contract and read it. But the summary is, first off, we have increased the salary range in this. Last year, our starting pay was $42,500. That has been increased by $1,050 to $43,550. The top end of the scale last year was $74,000. We increased that to $76,625. You may go, well, hold it, that's more than $1,050. Effectively, what we did with it is that we took the entire salary schedule and increased everything by $1,050. And then any teacher that taught for us last year more than 120 days, effective or highly effective, then they're also going to get a jump of a line, which is $1,525. So the top end of the scale went from $74,000 to add the $1,050 plus add the $1,525. So that's where you see, it looks like it's a lot more.
75. 1575.
What did I say?
25.
Oh, $1,575.
The numbers will
Yes.
match if you had those.
Yep, $1,575 with the $1,050. Then when it comes to actually getting their pay increases, there are 3 factors that will be considered. First one is any teacher in the school district is going to get $1,000.50 across the board increase to the salary schedule. So those teachers that we hired this summer, brand new to the school district at $42,500, theirs is going to go up by $1,050. If somebody was hired in at $48,000, they're gonna go up by that 1,050. But anybody that was here, so that's the first level, I'll stop at that. Then the second factor is based on teacher evaluation. So now, a teacher that just got hired this year would not be eligible for a teacher evaluation because the evaluation has to be in the Fayette County schools. So even if they may have had experience in Ohio, that doesn't count as a teacher evaluation within our school district. So any teacher within the school district that's received an effective or highly effective evaluation last year, then they're going to get a $1,575 pay increase. So the vast majority of our teachers are going to get a salary increase of $2,625.
There's the 25.
So, yeah, there it is. So it's $2,625. So the vast majority are going to get that. The third factor, now we're getting into, I'm looking at the experienced past former teachers that remember the old ways of doing things at the end of the table, but there was a time when we had a master's lane. You can no longer do that and put in the educational attainment, because the education attainment cannot be more than 50% of what the rest of the raise is. So that limits us, but I'll get back to it. But anybody that did receive their master's degree in the past year, and we have 3 teachers that meet that criteria, those 3 teachers will also, by the contract, get an additional pay increase of $1,575. So again, that's going to be a very small number of teachers, but those are the ones that did receive their master's degree. Don't forget that, I'll be back to them in a minute. The other one any questions about salary? Because that's really the salary parts of it.
So those people with the master's degree, they get that 2625 plus the 1575.
Correct.
If they got their master's degree.
In the last year.
Right.
It used to be required.
Yes.
After 5 years, you had to have a master's degree.
That left in 1992.
Oh, thank you, I had an event.
We're not ancient.
I went back to school.
Hold it, while they're laughing at you, I want you to know, I got my life license as a teacher and a principal in the last month that you could get one in 1992, that's how I know the year.
Well,
So
I made the cutoff day too, so,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, and it was a nice big raise back then.
Yeah, probably $400 or $500 or something then.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
High
was.
school then?
No, I was
You were in college?
in college.
Okay.
I was way out of college.
So then, any other, yeah, we don't need to hear all this. The good news is, we're old enough, we'll forget it, so, or I will. I'll only speak for myself there. The next thing that we changed in the contract through negotiations is in our current contract, it said that if you come in from another school district where you have accumulated sick days, whether you have 3 accumulated sick days, or in many cases, if we get more experienced teachers, they may have 30 or 40 or 50 accumulated sick days. The way the contract read previously is once they came into the school district, their first year, they didn't bring any sick days with them. But then, beginning their second year, we would take in 3 sick days per year until we hit however many they had accumulated before. So let's take it real simple. If they had 30 accumulated sick days, that would take 10 years before all of those days came into the district. Partly to be more competitive and partly to reward those teachers because they've accumulated in the past. We've now agreed to bump that from 3 days to 6 days. So now if you had the same teacher that brought 30 days in, they would bring all of them in 5 years instead of 10 years.
And this
So-
would be on top of the sick days that they get through their current
Yes,
contract.
so they're gonna get the normal ones here, correct?
So in essence, they would have 16 days.
Yes, that they would bring in each year
And
to
2
do that.
personal days?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So basically, oh yeah, that's good.
So,
Well, we're hiring more and more teachers with experience, which for a long time, schools only hire people 0 and a bachelor's. So I think most of our teachers have been experienced in the last 5 years.
so,
And so
Previously, it took them literally forever
Yeah.
to bring those days in, so
There aren't that many with the bachelors coming out of college anymore.
that's very true. Other changes that we made to the contract, under the ECA, we have added a color guard position to the extracurricular schedule. We added we had one position for FFA sponsor. We have now added a second position. The ag numbers are going up, and we've added that. The third thing we have done is we added a $200 stipend for teachers that participate in the Reading Academy. We already had a stipend in there for a new teacher academy that was $200, so we've added to that for teachers that participated in it. And then the fourth thing that we've added there, I will tell you, this is one probably we struggled with as much on both sides. Not that we didn't think it was needed, it was what do we do with it? And what we came up with, at least this year, is that teachers who use a prep period to sub, and it's probably more in the high school than it is in the other buildings, but if a teacher gives up their prep period to substitute teacher, we'll keep record of it, they will get $15 onto their pay for that period that they give up, and then they will be paid twice a year, once at the end of first semester and once at the end of the school year. So,
Oh, gee.
I will tell you, they're not gonna get rich, but it's a little bit of appreciation and thank you that you're helping out there.
That has to be huge, because wow, I could have made a lot of money back in the day. Yeah, but that,
Do teachers give up their prep period?
oh, yeah. The thing of it is, if you don't have anybody in to sub, and you've run out of your aides that can come, then you kind of have to either combine classes, which doesn't work incredibly well. So it's just like you go in and you cover the class for that class period, giving up your prep. And it was kind of a give and take kind of thing. They tried to kind of spread it around, but it was like, okay, this became an issue when somebody asked to be let out of their contract 5 minutes early. And there were issues with that, which we've not had lately, but that had been an old issue, when a teacher would ask to leave early. And so this is a really good thing to do, because I don't know about the high school, but I know in the middle school that was sometimes a huge issue, particularly for team leaders that had the technically extra prep time. Well, it didn't turn out that way very often.
So, anyway, we've added that to contract.
That's good.
And then flipping the page, the last one really is a good news, no news. And I say that because health insurance, the health insurance through the East Central Trust did not increase. They voted on the health insurance program for beginning January 1st. There's no additional cost or no raise to the health insurance. So the health insurance contribution, we are maintaining it exactly where it was last year, since the insurance did not increase.
Did the trust, Scott, did the trust go with another provider?
Yeah, we have about 30% of the trust, our employees. make
Okay.
up. And so the trust advisor, Ari Sutton, asked them to let's competitively bid this out with United Healthcare.
Okay.
And we had done it one other time with them, but there were some prescription, the benefits the board decided weren't great enough to make the switch a couple of years ago. But this time, I think Anthem took us for granted, and a lot of trusts are moving to United Healthcare. We're having a meeting here soon to talk about it, but we would have probably had a 7% increase with Anthem, which, when you look at a $24,000 premium, that's a lot of money. So we said, what did we budget, 206 or 8,000 for? That's what
like
we
that.
were
A little
planning
over-
on
just
new
over
money
20,000.
to cover our share of insurance.
Well, and also too,
So we were able to
United
push that back to
Healthcare
the teachers.
is one that's sponsored by AARP, so it's accepted
Every state.
every state, everywhere. Yeah.
Anthem's in 14 states.
Yeah,
So-
and as far as working with United Healthcare as opposed to Anthem, I switched a few years ago, and it's like night and day. The benefit that United Healthcare can provide to its members are huge. And very, very helpful.
Our prescription program doesn't change, so that's the biggest, as a trust, that's the biggest hangup you have is when you try to change the formularies and you switch to another prescription company, so we're maintaining the same prescription company and still saving all that money. So United Healthcare, I'm excited about it. I think that the districts and trusts that have switched over, I know Randy was a part of that years ago with his district, it's been seamless. The same, there's no decrease in benefits, the deductible, everything's the same, they matched it exactly the same with all of our plan pieces. Except there's one piece they're still working on, what is that, where you get the cashback incentive, that went away with Anthem, but United
They're
Healthcare
gonna
has
match
an
it
option, they're
somewhat.
providing, it's something similar, it's more of an incentive to shop around for procedures, and I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it's it's part of the wellness type of thing.
Part of the
wellness.
But if you had to get
Everything
if you had to get a MRI, they can say, well, if you go to this place, it's going to cost this much, this place, and if you go to the cheapest place within you can put your radius, but like within a 50-mile radius, if you're willing to travel to some location in Brookville, maybe you're gonna get $100 back, where if you just say, I don't wanna go down there, I just wanna do it here, then maybe you're not gonna get anything. Or the cheapest place could be here in town, so, but they give you options on
But
that.
they very much give you options, and what's striking to me is when you have those options, how much getting something done at Reed, for example, you have it done in Newcastle, or if you have it done in Rushville, there can be huge differences, and you don't have to worry about it not being approved, which is really nice.
On the insurance, I know that you've shared this with us before, that we offer a better deal for the family contribution, the individual, that we pay more of the portion. Is that right, than other school corporations?
Yep, I think I shared some data with you
You
all
did,
about
and
that,
I was
so
just trying to remember.
Actually brought it with me.
Oh, wow.
Look
So-
at you.
Yeah, so.
Boy, it looks like that was set up.
We
Yeah,
have-
it was not.
No, it wasn't.
Pretty good.
I had updated this actually, but all the school districts in our region, it's typical, is you offer the board contribution for a maximum for a single plan, if you're just a single person, and then the family plan. So, for example, I'll pick Union County, they provide $10,200 for a single plan, which covers all of it, but $1 for any of the plans, whereas their family plan, they contribute $11,000. So those teachers are out $13,000 to $14,000 for a family plan, whereas our board pays $19,710 for a family plan. So, and if teachers use the highest deductible plan, they only pay $1. So, and this, are you done with yours?
I'm trying, well, I've got one more thing
Okay,
with
go
it.
ahead.
We come back to,
Yeah.
when you come back to insurance, let me give you one more thing, and this, as I said, keep it in your mind with the master's degree. In order to follow state law, you have the last piece of paper you have in there. I will tell you, I'm going to bring, and this is directly from Michelle Cooper, our attorney, and we can give additional money to teachers for the master. Our objective in the masters is really that they're going to jump 2 levels, but state law will not allow us to do it in the contract as jump 2 levels, but by board resolution, you can give that additional amount. If you look, you can read the resolution, and if you look under just number 1 there, though, it says the superintendent of schools is specifically authorized to pay a supplemental payment in the following amounts to the following teachers. That is one. Yeah, it's all the way, it's a single piece of paper underneath everything, hopefully.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Right now, I have teacher 1, 2, and 3. I do know the names. But one of the requirements of that is, in order for us to do it, we must discuss this situation with the teachers first. We have a discussion session scheduled to meet with the union tomorrow, so that'll cover that part. So when the resolution is presented to you for the board meeting, it will have the names of those teachers that received their master's degree. But the reason for it is, we believe and the teachers believe that they should be able to get a bigger bump, but the state law does not allow it to, within the contract, so that, thus it requires a separate board resolution in order to do that. So, I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully
Yeah,
it does. So really, when we looked at, I can't remember exactly the number, when you look at a teacher, these 3 teachers are going to get $1,050, the $1,575. They're going to get another $1,575 with the educational attainment in the contract, and then they're going to get a third $1,575 by board resolution. So those teachers obtaining their masters all together this year are going to get, I didn't even total it up, $5,100 pay increase, I think, or something like that. So when you add them all together, that's
So
where
it would be
they end up.
$1,050 bump on the scale, and
Right.
then $1,575 moving.
For their
one lane,
evaluation.
And then one other lane moving.
Yeah.
So that'd be 2 lanes and then the $1,050, so it'd be what, 4,000 something?
No, they're getting 3 lanes.
Considering how much it cost them to get their master's degree.
They're getting 3 lanes. Because all of the teachers, all of the existing teachers, the returning teachers are getting 1 lane. So they're going to go up with everybody, there's 1. And then their educational attainment takes them up 1 more lane, which is 2 lanes for them. And then, so this gives them 2 lanes up from all of the teachers, but all the teachers are going to go up 1.
Okay.
Or all of the returning teachers with effective or highly effective. So, Yep.
So it also provides a better incentive. There was no incentive to get your master's degree.
for a long time.
For a long time. And now this is an incentive to get, and the master's degree is really nice. And I don't know how much better a teacher it makes you necessarily, but it certainly gives you more tools in your toolbox to use. And encouraging people to continue their education. That $5,000 won't quite pay for it, but it's at least it's showing some appreciation for what they're wanting to do. That's great.
1575, right, so it's 1050, then it's the 1575 if you were highly effective or effective, and then it's 1575 for getting your master's, but you're saying you jump 2 levels, so you get
This is-
1575.
With the board resolution covers that second.
Second.
One above it, correct.
The state would only allow this one.
Because it can't be more than 50, if you added 1575 twice, that's more than half of the total rate, so that you can't do it within the contract.
I mean, that's good that
I
the,
thought you were saying it was all in the contract. I'm
No, no,
not
no.
misunderstanding,
No,
no.
what I like about that is the state continues to let the local school boards have control over it.
Right, with the resolution
Right,
policy.
So
that's
you
good.
can creatively circumvent what
Well,
they're doing
yes.
under their laws.
Right,
which is
right,
why-
right, but-
That's why we have Michelle Cooper
Yep.
to
Well,
help
and
navigate through that.
specifically in this area, which has to come with retaining teachers and keeping teachers happy and being competitive in our workplace right now, because there's
Yeah, that's-
just not that many out there, and we have to be competitive in any way we can.
Are we still, I mean, I'm sure we always encourage teachers to get their masters, but that's particularly helpful also for some of the dual credit courses, right?
At the high school level, it probably benefits the kids even more so to be able to do dual credit classes and some of that.
Yeah, okay,
So
all right. Well, thank you.
So that's all I have on the contract, then I'll turn it back to Scott and we can go into insurance
Okay,
or.
We showed you it'd be a short meeting, but there are a few things, there's a lot of inaccurate or misinformation people don't understand out there, and some of our election, some of the stuff being published in the newspaper or on YouTube with some things happening. One of our candidates is saying that our board meetings are private, and we don't allow people to comment, and I just want to be sure our newspapers here, our meetings are all held in public, streamed on YouTube, except executive sessions. And the state's very clear on what the guidelines are for executive sessions, as all the board members here know. And that's if you're dealing with a school safety issue that you can't make public, if you're dealing with negotiations for the sale of real estate, if you're dealing with the personnel or confidential student issue, they're very limited. That the board cannot make formal action and decisions in those executive meetings. And we can also use it for board training, which there will be some board training with Michelle Cooper. She does that once a year. I just want to be clear on that. The other is, we don't teach CRT in our school. There's a group of people in our country who is really pushing that they're teaching that, and putting fear in people's minds that we're teaching. And we have 2 social studies teachers here, and I'll say, I have Cherokee Indian, my great-grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee Indian, so I heard stories about my ancestors. American history is ugly.
All of history's ugly.
I know, but when we look at history, it is, and I think, CRT, and I know some of you have done some research and things on it, but that was not even designed for K-12 curriculum.
No.
That
We're college,
concept.
it's law school and limited law schools.
So I think there's that fine line between, our textbooks over the years, and we have 2 social studies teachers, have been very Eurocentric in their portrayal of American history. I don't believe the first meal between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims was a Norman Rockwell painting. I think it was a little uglier, Mark's laughing, but I think at the same time, we are not in the business to guilt people over their race or for systemic injustices that are perceived because of the color of your skin. And that's not what public schools are about. And I know that some people are using that as a platform to really think we're doing these things, and we're not.
Well,
So I just want to put that out there, and if you capture that, we are not doing that. And then the other is, people are saying we have to pay teachers more, and so that's what prompted this piece here. I look at the total pay package and benefit package for our teachers, because it's just not salary. And if the board remembers this, but the state put in a rule that takes effect this year that 45% of our education fund has to be paid toward teachers only salaries, not their benefits.
Right.
Now, keep in mind that we provide the most insurance towards a family plan of any district in our region. We pay almost $20,000 towards a family plan for our insurance for teachers. Most of the districts pay anywhere from $11,000 to $17,000. We pay a 3% annuity into a 403B, sorry, it's the wrong one. 403B, that a lot of districts pay 1 or 2%, some pay 3%, but that's on top of their teacher retirement, where we pay the majority of that too. So when I factor that in and I look at last year's salary of a new teacher and the family plan and our annuity, a new teacher, we're just for those 3 pieces, not including FICA, not including all of our teacher retirement contributions.
Long-term disability.
$63,485. The next closest district with total value of those pieces is Richmond at $60,600. Centerville, $60,100. And Franklin County's $58,900. Newcastle, $58,900. Jay County, $56,500. They're very comparable to us. I don't use districts like that. Rushville, $53,000. Nettle Creek, which is Hagerstown, $51,900. Batesville, $51,900. Union County, $50,700. And so people are saying that we don't pay our teachers enough, but we will be the highest paying, I believe, teachers in our region with starting pay this year.
And we're glad to do it.
And we are, and that's what I wanted to consult, this board has made a commitment to do that and has supported our recommendations, and our teachers, and we've had great negotiations. And so I just want that known that we are competitive. I would put us up against anybody in the 6 or 7 county region.
Yeah.
And so that's just a misinformation that people don't always understand of what we truly offer our staff and our teachers.
When it comes to CRT, I think there's this perception that the curriculum is some mystic thing out there. It's not. Anybody can get online with the Indiana Department of Education. They can get a copy of the curriculum. They can look at it themselves. And as a teacher, we know, Mrs. Casaro, that we have to show our standards on our lesson plans. We are evaluated on whether or not we are teaching the standards. Teachers can't go off the rails and teach anything they want. It's pretty well prescribed, and it's all right there for anybody to look at and see. It's not some secret society. And
we have our textbook adoptions. We always have an open and parent
Right.
point of view, and very rarely do we ever have any parents want to take advantage of that. So
We are open.
I would just say to the public, if anyone has questions on the curriculum, go talk to your child's principal. Talk to Ms. Crisaro, talk to us. I mean, because there's no hidden agenda with what we're doing. Do we do a lot to support our kids? Yes. The amount, in my career, the amount of social emotional support, which isn't a dirty word, some people make SEL, we have a lot of people in trauma. There's a lot of things, just from the pandemic. So we do provide a lot of support. We have partnerships with Centerstone and Meridian in our schools. You know, we have adults who go through that, family members who are going through struggles. And, you know, we're going through a horrible situation with a student in our schools right now that those children need extra support, and some of their teachers will, and siblings of that child. So we met today talking about the plans that we're doing for them. So it's not just teaching math and reading, even though I know that's a platform that some people say you gotta get back to basics. We are teaching the basics. But
It's not.
it's really a whole child. Our kids need so much more when they walk through our doors than just reading and math.
Well,
And so I just want to say, I'm not criticizing anyone, but I encourage people to come to our meetings, talk to us, because we conduct our business in public. And I just, it bothers me that there's a perception that this board is not acting in that manner, because I think we have a tremendous board that's kid-focused, and I just want to say thank you. So,
Well,
I'll
they're not the same kids that, I think a lot of people look back and think back to Leave It to Beaver and Miss Landers. We don't have that any longer. Kids come to school with many more issues. You look at the demographics of Fayette County and how it has changed drastically in I've been here almost 40 years. And it's changed. It's not a good or bad, it's just a change. And as anything else, we have had to adapt to meet the needs of our kids. You know, 20 years ago, we didn't feed kids 3 times a day. Now, we feed kids 3 times a day and we don't think anything about it because our kids need that. You can't teach them if they're hungry. That's common sense. So we have had to adapt what we do for the kids in order to meet the needs of this new population. And the pandemic threw everything out of kilter. You know, I've heard this say, well, the schools are going downhill. I thought, no, they're not. We're simply trying to come out of an impossible situation. And if you look around the country, you look at even the news saying, you know, the effect that the pandemic had on the education of children was horrifically underestimated by everyone. And now the data will confirm from the little ones to the big ones. It created a learning gap, but more than that, it created this social, emotional situation that we have to deal with too as we integrate them back into a more standard school type situation. So there's no simple answers, and I think we do a really good job in trying to meet the needs of the whole child, because we have to. That's part of our job. I think we always did, but it's become much more evident now that we have to do this because we have kids that have needs. And part of our job as educators is to fulfill those needs.
we have, and our teachers are working harder than ever, and our principals are working, and our social workers, and, you know, we've hired a lot of social workers to help support our kids, and you know, if the parents want to know what they can do is, you know, reach out to the teachers sometimes too and thank them, because we are losing teachers across the nation. I read every day where teachers are leaving their classrooms in the middle of the year, and we haven't had that happen here, and I think one is, I think our teachers, this is a good place for our teachers, that they're respected, and, you know, but it's a tough situation all around, and I just want to say thank you to our building staff and our transportation department who, you know, we're
Tirelessly working.
it is, and the mental health of those folks can be challenged too, and so if anything, lift up those people and thank them, because it's a tough job. Having two retired educators in here, you know what you put into that job, and we're doing more than ever for kids to support the whole child, I believe. And it's tiring. And
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the kids that Kim's working with through our Spartan Learning Center, and that's that team keeping kids in school and on target. We were talking about one today who's on target to graduate. that child probably would not be in school without your support of that Spartan Learning Center. And we have about 50 kids there, and they're being successful. And that's a big win for our kids.
Well, I think the whole climate has changed. I think schools, for a lot of people that are parents now, the school was kind of a us versus them situation. Whether or not it was right, it was perceived that way, because they could go get a good job without much education. But we can't do that any longer. It's just not there. Those jobs aren't there. So it's absolutely essential that kids get some education and be able to graduate school, hopefully have a trade. One of the questions is coming up about the Career Center. And I think the Career Center has to be one of our shining lights for all of the schools that are involved with it. Because we've changed the curriculum there to meet the needs technologically. We don't have a lot of classes we used to have because they're obsolete. And I think they've done a fabulous job of integrating the new technology and are keep on keeping on with that.
We're looking at adding another program possibly next year.
Yeah, yeah. So, and those kids come out of here ready to join the workforce.
And that's our goal, is work in college and career ready. So, and a lot of our kids, a career and getting those technical certificates, they're set up. I mean, they're leaving here getting $50,000 plus a year jobs right out of high school with training and college pay. Jeremy's shaking his head, you know.
Yeah, I've been recruiting them.
Yeah, so it's a plus. I didn't even go on soapbox, but I just think there's so much hard work that happens here that I would be remiss to not point out some of those clarifications, because they're just, I encourage people to come to our meetings and learn and ask questions. So I think
I agree. Okay, well, I'm glad we have one person here to do the next doing. Somebody else is missing out on their opportunity. I would like to.
Shirking his duties.
He is, and I'm seeking a motion.
I would like to make a motion then. Adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All right, he's filling in. Jeremy, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
Jeremy, you filled the chair well.
Yes, Jeremy.